screen you should unfortunately see me, and below you should see our presentation. Firstly, I wanted to say thank you. This is we have almost 100 people registered for this webinar, which is one of our largest webinars, and I know that there are a lot of people that have multiple people on the screen. This is interactive, but because we've got so many participants, if you could just on the screen there's a chat button. If you can send any questions at any stage. And we've got Michelle and Tammy here, who will interrupt me as you ask your questions. So as we go, I can try and answer them. But at the end, I'll also try and have an answer session. I'll try to keep this to 20, 30 minutes, which I'm not that good at. We'd like to thank all our Western Australian friends, specifically the ward team, for coming in early. And I hope, Rob, got your breakfast, some coffee and tea. And also, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to our new Melbourne family. We have recently, Horizon in Melbourne has become part of the BioPak family as at Tuesday. So to Andrew and his team, who's ever watching, welcome to the BioPak family. It's really great to have you guys on board. So today's webinar is pretty much a rehash for some people that have seen our webinars. And I guess why I'm rehashing it is because we experienced the trade show just a confusion with regards sustainability, a confusion with regards recycling and composting, and a confusion with regards what are the correct solutions for food service packaging. So there's a rehash for some that have seen this, but there really is some added information that we wanted to give you as well to demonstrate to all our partners that our solution is widespread, that our solution is being adopted, that our solution is a solution, it's not a trial. And I think our competitors and other people that are touting solutions are touting possibilities and trials as opposed to reality. When we think of sustainability, we think of end of life. Everyone says, is it recyclable? Is it biodegradable? A term that we shouldn't really use. But we've all lost sight of a couple of facts. And while I will get onto the end of life options for our products, I think people have to remember that we need to say no to plastics. And the consumer is saying no to plastic, whether it's aesthetically looking at a piece of plastic or knowing that the damage that the plastic creates, the impact of the plastic that's in their hand. Having a product that lasts literally minutes has a lifespan of a minute when you're eating it, when you're drinking it, okay, made from a durable plastic, made from a durable product, made from a product that has such a high carbon footprint, made from a product that is tapping on limited resources, just makes no sense. So we have to make from a product that has challenges with recycling. It makes no sense. We have to relook at, should we be using plastic? So it's really not about end of life. It becomes about end of life. It's about avoiding plastics. So when you talk about sustainability and people say, oh, I've got a recyclable plastic, or oh, I've got a whatever other claim they're making with regards end of life, they're losing sight of number one. And number one is that we need to avoid plastics. Government are banning plastics. We've had the ban of the plastic bag, okay? It's been followed up in South Australia with a ban of plastic cutlery and plastic straws. There's been a backlash against plastic straws. This will extend to plastic coated coffee cups, to plastic coated or lined paper boxes, to all plastic items. But the momentum, since I last spoke in a webinar about this, is extreme. The momentum, we've got, our own Australian government, the Senate Standing Committee sitting, and they're saying that we're going to ban single-use plastics by 2023, which allows only for compostable plastics. It's not only that, we've already had a Hobart ban it next year, so only compostable plastics will be sold in or will be used in the Hobart City Council. As I explained, South Australia and ACT have banned plastic bags. South Australia are banning plastic cutlery and plastic straws. So that paves the way for bioplastic or wooden cutlery and paper straws. We've got Darwin Council to wipe out single-use plastics. We've also got international trends where the UK have banned plastic straws and cotton swabs, and single-use plastic items are legislated to be the next to be banned. So there's strong momentum internationally, and of course the European Union, who just came out with a major statement just under a month ago about what they want to achieve by 2021, and it is banning single-use plastics. We already have France, which I haven't put in the slide, which are already from next year banning all single-use disposables, only allowing for compostable plastics. So I was bombarded at the trade show with people saying, oh, I think this single stream recycling system can work. Does composting really work? Is composting really a solution? It's a worldwide trend. It's not something that we're just doing in Australia and New Zealand. It's a worldwide trend, and there's many more examples, but we will all get circulations of these slides where you'll be able to look at exactly what is happening. I mean, it's really about creating packaging for the circular economy. What we want to do is we want to have no waste. So we want to take products after we use them and we want to put them in a bin. We want to get that bin taken to an industrial composter and we want to get it recycled. Organically recycled just means taking it and having it composted back to soil. We know that there's problems with the plastic recycling scheme, and we know that there's problem with organic matter going to landfill. When organics go to landfill, that's food-based packaging and that's food. It emits methane. Now, methane is 85% more potent than carbon. So we want to divert. We want to produce product and be responsible about where that product is used and how it's disposed. So we want to create streams to make sure that it is disposed away from landfill, because when it goes to landfill, the packaging with the contamination, a bit of food, a bit of salad, even a lot of food and a lot of salad, or a coffee stain, or a sugar, or if it's just the paper itself in our packaging, that goes to landfill and emits methane. All packaging and all food has to be diverted from landfill. There are a lot of claims, and I heard a lot of claims about the sustainability of products. I think what's important to understand is that compost certification is essential. We're working with 30 industrial composters, and if we don't give them certification, if we don't prove to them that we're looking after their output, which is compost, which they have to sell, then they won't accept our products. So we need to, BioPak are the only people that have certified their products to the Australian standard and the European standard on all the products that we need to. I'll explain that when I go through product by product, and no one else has bothered, which means that they might be using paper, and that paper with the lining the lining itself might be compostable, but the paper hasn't been tested and the inks haven't been tested. It's important for producers to take responsibility and certify the end product. It's important that the paper comes from a reliable source if you are using paper, or wood chips for a wooden cutlery, and that's why we insist on certification like FSC. In our production facilities, I've just added this in, we use up to 30% renewable energy. We recycle all our raw materials. We treat our water before we release it back into the water system. We have ISO 14 and 22,000 certifications. So really the sustainability of our products is a journey that starts from the raw material, which is obviously rapidly renewable raw material and plant-based, through our factories, and produces a compostable product that comes to you. And again, although our products and plant-based products emit 75% less, up to 75% less carbon than plastic products, it still has an impact, our product. We still produce carbon because we have energy through our factories which produce product. We use cars, we use boats to transport products. So that reduced carbon, we still offset. We still have programs that, through way of offsetting by use of solar or planting trees, we measure every single gram of carbon that we output, and we offset it. So what we want to do is we want to change consumer behavior. We want to educate consumer behavior. The best way to do it is through our partners, is for the people that use our products, the people that obviously attend these webinar sessions, and the people that we touch and we speak to on a daily basis. We don't sell product in this business. We really talk and educate and talk about the solution. So we will start branding our product with that seedling logo that you see on the screen, and that we need to label the product. Before, it was almost unfair to put a logo on because there wasn't the infrastructure to collect it. Now we're collecting 85% of the postcodes through Australia. We're collecting in New Zealand, we're collecting in Auckland, in Nelson, and in Wellington. So although it's got challenges, and everyone on LinkedIn last night, we put our 5 myths debunked of people who are talking down composting out. And someone from Hawke's Bay in New Zealand said, well, you talk about truth, but it's not true because I don't get composting in Hawke's Bay, and they're right. We have challenges. But certainly, if there is a direction for our product to take, which is in 85% of postcodes in Australia, in Auckland, in Wellington, in Nelson, 100% of the product will be composted. Unlike 14% of plastics being composted, or 8% of paper being composted, which is the stats through Australia and New Zealand. And it's stockpiled, and it can't be sent overseas because they're not taking our waste anymore. While there's many challenges, okay, we want to turn those naysayers into supporters. We've got lots of challenges. We've got lots of issues when it comes to our product. It could be other people putting contaminant packaging into our bins. It could be the fact that composters, predominantly in New Zealand, are loath to take compostable packaging for the time being, besides the areas that I put, but they'll change. We'll turn those doubters into supporters. So we have our challenges, But we are just doing what we can as a small business, and you can as our partners, to try and create behavioral change. I mean, I'll go through the products very briefly because most of you know our products. We've got obviously our cups and our paper cups and paper bowls. They're certified to the Australian Compost Standard, the Australian and New Zealand Compost Standard. We've got our clear BioCups and bowls also certified. We're introducing a new reusable cup range, and that's again 100% made from PLA, which is a plant-based product which we'll be releasing towards the end of the year. And the benefit of that range, and this is not a product session, is that it can have a full coverage print on it. So maybe your customer's coffee brand, like it presents on a paper cup, can present on a reusable cup. Sugarcane pulp, the best environmental solution. We're taking the waste from the sugar industry, a product we call bagasse, which is just the waste that's left over when we've refined the sugar and taken the sugar and making sheets in order to pump through our pulpers to create products. Through our molds, I should say, to create products. So a waste product creating, a food safe, just takeaway packaging or plate or bowl, that is compostable and home compostable. Okay, the difference between home and industrial, I've touched on before. All of our product, industrial compostable, sugarcane pulp is home compostable because it processes really quickly, so it is allowed and certified to be home compostable. All of our products break down within 180 days in an industrial compost facility, but it can't take 180 days in a home compost facility because your small bin in your kitchen will be piled up if it takes 3 months or 4 months. It really needs to be rapid, and sugarcane is the most rapidly converting product into compost. Our BioBoard products as well is plant-based with the lining or just corrugate board. We've got bags that are coming soon. We're doing paper bags that are coming soon. We're producing them from post-consumer recycled paper. So literally from garbage, not from post-industrial. We're not taking offcuts from factories to produce our bags. We're actually using post-consumer recycled content. Straws are FSC certified. Our BioCutlery, the PLA cutlery, obviously is industrial compost certified, and the wooden cutlery is from FSC paper chip sources. We have our napkins, and finally our bioplastic bags. Our product range is certified to either home and industrial compost solutions, and if it's just purely a paper product like a napkin or a wood chip, a wooden cutlery, we obviously have FSC sources for those. So the compost service. Where again, I'm sitting at the trade show and I'm seeing people saying, oh, we've got a recycling system for our coffee cups. One stream, one product that you have to collect in a tube, that you have to pay $25 to get that tube collected. Okay, that is only available from one company. And there's another product, that's Jetpack's product, Simply Cups product. Yes, they'll collect multiple sources, okay, and they'll take it. But the people are downcycling, or it's a linear solution that they're providing. They're saying, well, take your product, and while they claim to be making paper and more paper and more paper, they're using it one more time. And in the case of collecting multiple cups, like Simply Cups do, they're converting it into, they're making it into a powder, converting it into a plastic product, mixing it to make a plastic product. So it's take from the environment, it's make a product, it's use it for food, and it's used one more time for some mix in a plastic product. That's not a circular economy. We're talking about taking soil, taking plant-based products, creating product, using the product, and returning it to a plant-based solution. We've talked a lot about where our facilities are and where our coverage is, and it's extensive and it's growing. And we want to hear about those people like the lady on LinkedIn yesterday I spoke to from Hawke's Bay, because I want to hear what problems she's having, and I want to be introduced to a composter, and I want to speak to that composter and send them 20 boxes of product for them to put through their compost site and see that it's not a challenge. We've got these composters, which are on the next page. We're not talking about small names. When we started at the end of December, we're sitting in a cafe. I watched an organic truck drive past me, and I thought, why can't we put our product in there? And they were only taking food. We convinced them to take packaging. That small step has led to all the major players coming to us. The reason why they're coming to us is because they are collecting as composters. Okay, they're collecting grass and tree, grass and branches, and say leaves. That creates a fertilizer. But collecting food and our packaging, okay, but predominantly food that goes with our packaging. Collecting that creates a very nutrient-rich compost or soil food. It's very different, so they want it. And they're always chasing us for the product. Worried about the contamination and building in, like any paper or plastic recycling company, building in measures to deal with contamination, but they are coming to the party and they want to collect the product from us. So how does composting work? We'll circulate this video, this video and this presentation. I've just got the sign that I've only got 15 minutes to go. Okay, I'll speed it up. Composting, it's quite simple. You know, we're turning organics. Sorry, one moment.
Do you want this to be a half hour or 1 hour?
Half an hour's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
So, sorry about that. So we turn organics into nutrient-rich compost. I think I described it on the previous slide. We're also trying to make it a local solution. Remember, if you take packaging and it's got all the food that you left over in it, and you combine it with all the food from your kitchen, you put it in one bin and you take it to our composters, that's what they want. They want that mixed food and packaging. And that reduces your general waste bill, because when you are taking this product to compost, it is substantially cheaper than your regular general waste bin, whether it be the red, whether you have a red lid like we have in New South Wales, or whatever the colour of the bin is. When you take it to landfill, the landfill levies, and it becomes expensive. When you're diverting most of that waste in landfill, 80%, 70 or 80% of that waste in your general landfill bin is organics, and that can go, if we collect it from a cafe or a restaurant, it can go to compost through our service. And that does provide you with a reduction in your bill, because you're paying for compost collections and you're not paying for landfill collections, but it diverts it from landfill. It literally, you're taking that product, you're putting it in a bin, and within 6 to 12 weeks, it's absolutely biodegraded into a quality compost or soil food. It's a great video to watch. What we've got in the video, when you get when it's circulated, you have a video of our composter, of one of our first, pioneering clients, which is a building, a 7-story building with 4,000 people, and they've just converted everything. Every floor, staff have been trained to bring in compostable packaging. The cafes use compostable packaging. They've been told that they're bringing anything non-compostable has to go home with them. So it works. We've got more examples of what we've achieved, but that's a great video. We speak to the composter. He shows you the process. He shows you how he deals with contamination. When you look at what we've achieved, okay, we've had the first zero waste flight with Qantas. We've got Adelaide Airport, Cairns airports, and Mackay Airport, all compostable sites with the compost packaging and the compost and the organics being collected. We've got coffee roasters that are using our product in composting and all press. JD and Merlot just changed from PE line cups to compostable BioCups. Retail precincts, we've got huge food courts in Latrobe Lane, in Barangaroo. UTS University just converted, I think they've got 16 sites, have to be compostable packaging. The actual waste is being collected and has to be compostable waste. Supermarkets, we've got great partners in Woolworths. They've converted their bakery, they've converted their fruit packaging to pulp bases. We've got offices, Commonwealth Bank of Australia, Atlassian, which have got, again, made their whole buildings compostable. QSRs, we work with Craveable brands, Oliver's Real Food, Sumo Salad, Mad Mix, I mean, plenty more. I probably left out a few and I hope you're not watching. But all of these brands have switched to compostable packaging. We've got Hobart City Council, Adelaide City Council, Randwick and Manly and Willoughby also changing to compostable plastics as opposed to single-use fossil fuel-based plastics. Festivals, schools, we've got zoos, theme parks, hospitals, the list goes on. So to have a few cafes that are collecting a couple of cups, we don't want to create a solution for one single stream. We want to create a solution for all forms of plastic, and that's what we've achieved with the partners that we've worked on, and through your businesses. Yours are the businesses that are speaking and promoting our products and allowing us to close the loop through composting and organic solutions. I guess we want to educate all our staff, we educate your staff, we want to educate your customers of the impact, okay? And through this, we will have monthly reporting, which you can contact our marketing department, or you can be in contact with anyone that you deal with at BioPak. We want to put bins in the cafes and restaurants that you serve. We want to put bins out the back to collect the compostable waste. Give them an A4 piece of paper that they can proudly display on their counter or on their window about what they're achieving, and send them impact statements. So the impact statements are about how much plastic they have avoided using, how much carbon they have not emitted, and if they're composting, how many tons that they've diverted from landfill, and how many bags of compost that they've created. So we have that all independently verified in an impact statement that's available, which we'll be sending, but we can also give it to you on request. Sorry, when you do get our recycling service, we do a bin audit of the individual cafe, where we can even assist them if they do have a recycling stream of what to do. Our partners will do a full bin audit. They'll direct most of the organics and 80% of their waste to our compost service, but they will provide, consultancy and advice on other streams of waste. if you have a look at this example, this is about a cafe using 100,000 items a year. So it'll be a mix of cups and takeaway containers. And as you see, they've done the example on those products you see in the image, by diverting that from landfill. Just one cafe, 100,000 items, 2,000 disposable items a week. It's, I guess, a medium to large size cafe, but it's not your average cafe. They've diverted 8 tons from landfill by converting to this product, 8 tons of organics or plastics from landfill. They create 546 bags of compost. And we also, again, will give them the information, how the 5 tons of regular plastics, and also they've reduced the carbon emissions by 15 tons. We convert that to number of liters traveled by a car or number of households powered, just so they get a sense of what is 15 tons of carbon emissions. This is the underpinning of the compost industry is the fact that 42% of households or 10 million residents have got garden waste being collected. So there's a stream going to the composters we want to tap into. In South Australia, we've got 2 composters, Pete's and Jeffrey's, and they have just agreed with me that if we brand our product with the CD logo, anyone in their homes will be able to put their compostable packaging into their green bins at home. We think that will become a trend. We think it'll become a trend as soon as there's branding and conformity and everybody gets the Australian standard. It could become a brand and a trend. But right now, we can put it into our bins in South Australia. This FOGO, which people are taking their food organics and putting in a bag and put in the green bin already in 15% of Australian households. Might not be your area, but for those of you who don't know, the council give you bags. You put your food waste into the bag, which is branded, and it's accepted in your green bin. There are already a movement and behavior to move organics from your landfill bin into a compost bin or a green bin. And then the government, they just put in huge amounts of money into composting, into diversion from landfill. And there's 155 million, just we saw yesterday in New South Wales, available to companies that do have initiatives that can create diversions from landfill. I'm going to go fairly quickly because I think I've only got about 10 minutes left. We're working on many different alternatives to composting. We're working with a company called NZ Box, with GoTerra, Vitachar, and Trashbot. And I'm going to send this information to you, okay? It's just different ways of treating organic waste, not only through industrial composters, because some people have the infrastructure to deal with it on site. And these are 4 initiatives that Richard Fine, most of you know Richie, he's working on in order to create more solutions. These won't be fit for purpose everywhere, okay? But we will be investing and we will be working with these businesses to try to build their infrastructures to offer a variety of solutions besides a large cafe just being able to put it in a bin and collect it. I'll just go into the problem with the cup recycling streams or any recycling streams. Number 1, it has to be clean. You cannot leave contamination, you have to rinse it. We've got to change huge behaviors to make that happen. Number 2, it's one stream, it's cups. So imagine in a cafe, you've got your cup bin, you've got your takeaway packaging bin, you've got your cutlery bin, you've got your, you have 38 bins and 2 tables as opposed to 38 tables and 2 bins. One bin for everything, that's the solution. The cups have a high carbon footprint. To make the plastic cup, even though some are tight and they use less plastic, it's still plastic. It's like a light cigarette as opposed to a full strength cigarette. It's still plastic. There's a high cost to bring that product. You're collecting it and paying for it to go to a central location. That location is transporting all of it to a central location in order to process it. The organic solutions are local. Paper recovery is minimal. In most of the recycling systems, paper recovery is minimal, mainly because of contamination, specifically with food-based packaging. I don't believe that this is a solution for food-based packaging because our product will always be contaminated. Recyclers want a clean stream. They're getting it from carton boxes. They're getting it from many places. And as soon as we put in a contaminated paper or contaminated product, they will most definitely start rejecting it. We have it, again, I'm using Adelaide because that's where we spend a bit of time. Sorry, I've got a question.
We have Paula Armstrong, who says that she has 3 industrial compost facilities in Victoria, and they're all full, so they're not taking any new clients. What do they do when their building is not accepting or allowing them to add BioPak to organic recycling?
Look, I think it's a great problem if our industrial compost partners. The question was that there are 3 organic recyclers used by one of the people in the webinar, and they all have capacity not taking new waste. I think that's something you've got to put as a problem for us, even if it's food and not our packaging. We use Karaya waste, and they've got heaps of capacity. They just passed Geelong. I'm not sure if their bin collection is maybe $1 more expensive, but they definitely have capacity, and we're more than welcome to put you in touch if you contact us separately afterwards with our partners, because we can create streams. We've just done a couple of stadiums in Melbourne, Marvel Stadium and Rod Laver Arena. So we know there's capacity. And yeah, we'd love to run out of capacity because the government has got just money hanging over to build capacity. When they see commercial growth and commercial profitability out of these businesses, I'm quite sure they'll invest. So we love that challenge, that to be a capacity. I don't believe we are at the moment with our partners, but we can most definitely put you in touch with Karaya in Victoria, where I'm quite sure they can create solutions. I'll just go on to the next slide. Not a solution for food waste. Go on there. So we just gave an example of general bins that we've taken pictures of everything in it. You know, these are bins. You know, it's just a contamination of different foods and packaging. If all of those bins you're looking at, okay, were just one compostable solution with food, it'll be a whole lot easier. Even if all of that was recyclable packaging, even if all recyclable packaging, all recyclable cups, all recyclable takeaway containers with all that food, it will not be recycled. It will 100% be diverted to landfill. So now the myths, okay? Well, none of you know me. BioCups, okay. Plastics and polymers are no better than regular plastics. As I say, just the same as regular plastics, okay? It's just not true. To produce a PLA bioplastic uses 52% less energy than fossil fuels, and also at a 71% lower carbon footprint. So when you take plastic, you're taking a fossil fuel that's dormant under the earth. That's finite. Whatever's there, it's about in 1 billion years we can regenerate all the fossil fuels we've got under the ground. But in that period until 1 billion years comes, we're taking a finite resource. So we are depleting resources for future generations. There is no doubt in that. It might be for 100 or 200 or 300 years, but it's definitely depleting it, number one. Number two, we're creating 71% more carbon, and we're using 48% more energy. So a biopolymer is a substantial improvement on regular plastics. It cannot ever be called as no better than regular plastics. Myth 2 is there are no industrial composting facilities that accept BioCups. We just had one of our questions was, we've got 3 composters that are capacity, okay? We've got 30 composters that'll accept our cups. We've got every single person at their homes in Adelaide. Every single person can take a BioPak and put in their green bin in their home. So to say that there are no industrial compost facilities, by BioPak saying that, is just ignorance and lies, just remarkably stupid. So that's myth number 2. Myth number 3, biopacks can't be recycled in residential recycling. Unfortunately, neither can be in regular cups, which are PE cups, PE line cups from everybody, and BioCups, correct, cannot be recycled. Even if you do put them in your paper recycling bin, they're going to material resource facilities, and they are 100% diverting all cups, including ours, to landfill because they're contaminated, because they've got a lining as opposed to absolute no lining. So just fresh paper. Our recyclers want clean paper streams. In the past, we'd bundle all the rubbish together, literally, and that's the paper product, and we'd ship it off to China and we get some dollars for it. That stopped about 18 months ago. It's been stockpiled, okay? Stockpiled. We're SKM, the largest recycler, okay, material resource facility in Victoria, went insolvent last month. They went into liquidation. There's just stockpiles of paper because they can't sell it. They can't send it. They're getting no revenue for it. Recycling industry is in crisis. So biopacks can't be recycled? Absolutely not. But nothing can be recycled. But I guess we have options in South Australia because you can put it in your green bin. And we also have options in those cafes that do 200 or 300 cafes are now using our compost solution, and you can put the cups into their bins at the front of their cafes. Myth number 4, they don't break down into quality compost. Okay, I actually don't know where these people get their facts from. I really don't. Okay, maybe they're back to 1970 when there's limited TV and no internet, because BioCups 1,000,000% breakdown in industrial compost facility. We've got millions and millions, and in one building in the city, we go through 25 to 30,000 cups a week. Okay, so one building provides us 500,000 cups that have been picked up by us, taken to Soilco. Okay, and anyone who doubts the system, phone Charlie Emery of Soilco and ask him, those 500,000 cups a year, and we've been doing it for a year and a half now, okay, ask him where he's stockpiling them if they don't break down, because that's just absolutely ludicrous. Compostable cups, certified Australian and New Zealand compostable cups, when they go to industrial compost facilities, absolutely break down. There is zero doubting that. Myth number 5, BioCups compost in landfill. Unfortunately, they don't. Okay, and we have a company like MPM saying, our products biodegrade in landfill. It's just ludicrous that they even allow to get away with statements like that. Landfill entombs its waste and takes a huge amount of time to break down. So we would say that products do not break down in landfill, neither do BioCups. So we're not saying they do break down in landfill, but nothing does. And any organics in landfill will slowly, but incredibly slowly break down and emit methane. It's not about the fact that they won't break down in landfill, because nothing will break down in landfill. They'll slowly degrade and emit methane, which is what we want to try and avoid. Okay, it's about avoiding landfill. So yes, BioCups don't break down in landfill. Plastic lined cups, every cup in Australia doesn't break down in landfill. But if you look at a BioCup, it's from a tree. So whether there's a tree growing or a piece of paper in landfill, you know, it's the same in the environment. Okay, the PLA itself, okay, the lining of our cup entombs its content, so it does not emit. It emits no harmful or hazardous methane or gases when it gets to landfill. I don't even want to tout that as a solution, because landfill is not a solution. There's nothing good about landfill, and we should try and avoid it. No packaging will break down in landfill. No packaging will be, landfill is not a solution for any packaging. As the fact says over there, it decomposes in that landfill extremely slowly and creates methane. We do not want to do that. Take it to compost and it creates compost. I'm going to very quickly go through some initiatives to show what people are really supporting the compost revolution. So we don't have a few customers trialing it here and there. Compost, we've got Qantas who are converting all to compostable plastics, they said by the end of 2021. Woolworths, we've got their bakery and their fruit-based packaging converting to home compost solutions. The film you see there will be home compost film that's wrapping the fruit, and the base is obviously our sugarcane pulp base. We've got one of the big 4 banks, I've said it's Commonwealth Bank, I'm not sure I'm allowed to tout that are converting all their buildings to compost canteens and solutions. We've just got an example of Yellow with the video by Mike, who's one of our oldest customers, who's explaining how much dollars he's saving, but instead of paying landfill bins, paying for compost bins, besides making a big impact by avoiding landfill. We produced, Allpress, one of our partners, has joined us in producing this cup, which we'll be now making available at the end of this year, where we have a full print on the cup. But the cup is made from 100% plant-based resource in PLA. So it's great that it's got a full coverage print. I think that's a first, but it's really good. That's 100% bio-based solution. Another small innovation of that, again, product, is that it takes a regular disposable lid. So if your lid is dirty and it's got all the, all the old milk in the gaps in the lid, and you haven't got time to wash it, you can just use a normal disposable lid if it's an issue. Merlot, as I said, JDE recently converted to compostable bins, compostable cups. We partnered with Deliveroo in Australia and New Zealand in creating a post-consumer recycled bag for them. A company in New Zealand called Pizza Pit, which is, I think they've got 50 or 60 outlets, 110 outlets that have changed all their packaging to compostable packaging. Bunnings Warehouse, 251 stores changed to compostable packaging. Wishbone in New Zealand that have changed all their packaging, and we've done some real good initiatives with them, products we never really did before. It's paper with a PLA lining, where we've converted them again, and they were great partners and pioneers in taking their full range and creating plant-based solutions. JDE converted to PLA paper cups. Eden Park Stadium, 100% compostable packaging. We're even producing a video for Eden Park that'll play soon halftime at cricket matches and some rugby matches to try and educate people. But their packaging, their cups will all be compostable. With that, together with their food, is going with our partners Reclaim in Auckland and been taken to compost. Sydney Cricket Ground are changing to a 100% compostable solution by the end of the year. So I guess the summary of what I'm trying to achieve over here is to really give our partners the confidence that we're not talking about a small trial over here. We're not talking about something that may work, let's give it a bash. This is mainstream. Governments around the world, governments in Australia and New Zealand, large businesses, stadiums, supermarkets, banks are already adopting the philosophy. Our Compost Club has 200 or 300 small cafes and businesses that are using the product, besides the large institutions that we have. So it's not about a trial. It's not about let's collect and see what happens. It's not a solution for an individual product. It's a solution for a collection of products together, working towards the major problem. Our packaging is not a problem. Of course, isolated, it's a problem. But if you look at landfill, organics is the problem. 50–60% of landfill is food. If we can create a product that symbiotically exists with food and diverts it all from landfill, that's the product we should be promoting. That's the product we should be educating. And whatever other systems are out there, and I have no doubt there will be recycling solutions. We need solutions in Australia and New Zealand for everything. We need solutions. There's clean products, like, you know, when you look at our bakery products, it's clean. It doesn't have food contamination. There's maybe an argument for a PET lid because it's clean and that can be recycled. Okay, but you know, the problem is it's not. It's not being recycled. There will be solutions coming up. But a part of that solution for Australia and New Zealand going forward, a part of that solution to divert all that we produce from landfill, okay, is a majority it will be a composting solution when it comes to food-based packaging. I think that was 35 or 40 minutes, which is supposed to be 30, and normally I go on for about 2 hours. I'm not sure if there are any questions. Look, our team and our sales team and our marketing team are all available for any questions. I'm sorry if it was a repeat to a lot of people. I know there was new content with regards to some of the successes of people converting to compostable packaging, but it was just to reiterate, because there is doubt in the market, and I want all of you, our supporters, I hope most of you, and our customers to be armed with facts and the facts of the momentum that is being created out there by the consumer. So thank you very much for attending, and get back to your day. And once again, Rob, I hope you made everyone breakfast down there, and Wood Packaging for coming in so early. Thank you, everybody.